welcome back to another episode of Couch Surfing. I actually have a very special guest here today with a lot of life experience. Allowed me in his house today in Downey, California. Just go ahead and introduce yourself, John.
Yeah, my name's John.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
that's fine. I figured.
Well, because that way if I, so that, I was like, that wasn't me. Oh, wow, I live in Downey, too.
So it's my friend John. He's a security guard. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I got you. I'm right there with you.
I know him from work. We both work at a shop in Santa Ana. Don't want to give out that shop's name yet, even though I said it like 4 times in the last podcast.
Smart move.
Editing him out, yeah, for sure. But so thanks for letting me in your home.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for the offer. And
I definitely wanted to hear you had some interesting things to say about like your life and what you've been through, and I definitely want to hear about it. So let's just start at the beginning. Where'd you grow up at? Where were you born?
I was born in East Los Angeles and pretty much grew up there as well. Lived relatively close to one of the main high schools in East LA. Lived there for quite a bit of my life, moved around a little bit, but that was always home for us pretty much. So I was there predominantly to about high school, and then ended up in Montebello.
You ended up in Montebello during high school?
For high school,
specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom wasn't going to allow me to go to Garfield for any reason, even though both my mom's and my father's family went to Garfield High School.
What was the problem with Garfield compared to like Montebello?
She just wasn't comfortable. She didn't think that academically Garfield was going to be what I needed.
Okay.
So she decided that she was going to have me go to Montebello.
That's that's just normal moms, thinking what they got to think about. They know it's better for you for sure. And I just wanted to ask too, is we both played the same sports in high school, and you played football and you wrestled, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right. I just wanted to know, what position did you play in football?
I originally started at halfback, which when they had a halfback back in the day.
Wow, halfback. Do they still have a halfback?
Yeah, they just more consider it a scat back now, more of like just more mobile than a traditional running back.
Okay, but you were like running up the holes and stuff, like.
Yeah, like I would trail the fullback.
Yeah,
which is predominantly bigger person most of the time.
And you were going A and B gaps, right? 1 and 2s.
Right.
Okay.
So I played that, and then I would be a cornerback on defense, but I didn't have height, so I didn't get a lot of play there, which didn't bother me. I was there mainly for the contact. I wanted to play, and
were you pretty fast when you were younger?
I wasn't fast, but I was quick enough to like keep up. I wasn't like top end speed or anywhere near the high end of the football spectrum, but I can hold my own pretty much.
Okay, that's super good. And then so you wrestled too. We both both had that in common. I wrestled 4 years in at Beaumont High School. He said he wrestled. Mind me, we're not the same age at all. Okay, I know you guys can't see this, but we're definitely not the same age. But I wrestled 4 years at Beaumont High School, and so did he said he wrestled. You said you wrestled 3.
I wrestled like 2.5 years due to I had an illness that prevented me from continuing wrestling.
How far did you go?
I was on. I made it varsity. So I was there. I won a few tournaments at my weight class. Probably would have took CIF in my division.
Yeah.
But I had a bad organ problem that put me in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I was unable to continue to play or to wrestle anymore. I was given the choice between 2 sports. My doctor told me I can do one of 2 things. I can't do both because it would be too much stress on my body and my organs. So as much as I loved wrestling and I was better at it, I liked football for the sheer contact of being able to let out your aggression.
Okay, so you definitely liked football a lot better than wrestling.
Well, no, I found a big passion for wrestling once I started, And
Yeah.
I would have stood with wrestling, but I couldn't get the same physical satisfaction as far as hitting, that contact, that crack of a helmet that I'm pissed off today and I'm going to take it out on everybody in front of me.
It's just more of that initial hit, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like I feel like when you're like trying to, I don't want to say you're trying to hurt someone in wrestling, but like there are moments where people are hurting people in wrestling.
Right.
But you can tell when it's intentional.
Yeah,
Compared
yeah.
to like football when you can hit someone and that's how you're supposed to play the
Right.
game.
The more you hit, the harder you hit, the more they want you to do it.
And I'm
in
sure
football.
like back then it was you guys were a little bit more like lenient on like
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh, man.
who's getting hit, who's
Yeah.
getting smacked. Was the quarterback getting hit? Because I can remember.
Quarterback was actually he was a pretty stout kid. He was probably 5'7", 5'8".
Were you allowed to hit him though?
Well, he initiated a lot of the contact.
Damn.
He ran about 165, 170.
How tall was he?
He was like 5'7".
Oh, okay. He
So
was
that's a
little
pretty,
short.
but
but
he's a
for
pretty
that
thick
weight,
kid.
for that
he was a
weight,
thick
he was
kid.
definitely a big boy.
He was very aggressive, so
Yeah.
he liked to initiate a lot of contact. So if you're initiating the contact, they can't get mad at us
Yeah,
when
exactly.
you're returning contact.
Did you guys have like a running back, like quarterback style? Like, is that what you guys played with in high school? Or?
He liked running. That wasn't our plan. But when he had option plays, he definitely would consider more running than handing off the ball or pitching the ball.
Oh, okay.
So
Makes sense.
that was kind of his program.
Yeah.
And they didn't mind it because he was a bigger kid. He was pretty quick. He can usually out physical a few, most of the people on the field, even opponents, not
Okay.
necessarily his own high school teammates,
Yeah.
but opponents. Like he was, like I said, aggressive. So, you couldn't stop him with one guy. It'd take a couple
okay.
guys. So, he knew that and he would take advantage of it.
Even during practice, or was this
Yeah.
just like a?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even during practice.
Was he a practice warrior? Let's be honest.
No, this guy.
No?
I mean, he played harder on the field during game night, but he didn't. How would you say? Let me put it this way: he wouldn't pull any punches in practice.
Okay, so he wasn't sandbagging.
No, by any
He
means.
was
If he could run somebody over in practice,
Yeah.
that was more power to him.
He liked that.
He loved that.
What,
Yeah, he liked that.
hearing
Whoa aspect of
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, I can remember a couple of those I had, but just hitting someone as hard as you can. But that's awesome. Did you guys end up going to like CIF or anything like that?
No, we had a lot of like talent, but our quarterback wasn't the smartest person in the world.
Well, I could see just because running all the time.
Well, not just that, but he didn't make great choices off the field. Like he would get in trouble.
Wow.
He got suspended. They
Fighting?
pulled him out of games.
I'm assuming fighting.
No, not fighting. Actually, our quarterback got in trouble for stealing food.
Wow.
He didn't have a lot of money. Yeah, he's a single parent kid.
Like an ethical thing.
And
right?
yeah, so but he also thought that, well, I'm the quarterback. What are you going to do?
Oh yeah, they suspended his ass.
And
yeah.
they suspended his ass,
Yeah.
and he sat out a game. Just things like that, those kind of mistakes that nowadays won't be stood for.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you got programs that are really built to win, and you got coaches that, stake their reputation at having efficient teams and all his players being available. And for I guess the only way I can say it is for a selfish move as far as I'm going to take something and you're not going to suspend me because I'm the starting quarterback doesn't fly with administration.
No, exactly, and it doesn't fly
Right.
almost anywhere.
Well, the problem was I wasn't there when that happened, so I can't necessarily say it was cut and dry. This is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
My best friend was there that day,
Okay.
and he happened to be in line behind this quarterback, maybe one or two people, and he noticed that one of our teachers who sits in the food line was watching him and saw exactly what he did. He grabbed some food, put it in his backpack, and continued to walk out.
Okay.
And he had I don't know, I guess you would say I hate when I'm at loss for word, but he had the aura about him,
So it's
I'm
not
the
like
starter.
So it wasn't like he admitted to it and
No,
felt
no,
bad or
'cause-
shameful. Like they probably would have let him off.
well,
or
because
been
they
like,
asked
hey.
him, "Did you
Yeah.
steal?" He said no.
Oh, so he straight
After
up
they
lied
watched him do
about
it, yeah, he straight out said, "I didn't take anything."
Do you think there's that ethical line? Do you think that if he had told the truth and was like, "Hey, look, this is not I'm there's not a lot of food at home."
Right.
Like,
I think
I'm not in a bad position.
If he would have allowed when the teacher pulled him aside, if he would have just at least said, "Hey, look, here's my situation. you know what, I'm sorry. You know, it was a poor choice, yes, but, you know, I'm kind of hungry. It's just the way it is, you know? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We're talking, you know, God, like 35 plus years ago.
Yeah, when things were a lot lenient too, right?
Yeah,
teachers were actually made like
they would have took his word for it if he would have been genuine. Like, hey, you know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was no genuine anything. Like when he said, "I just did it."
Yeah,
and like he dared him to get him in trouble almost.
Oh, okay. So
you know, it was one of those. Yeah, it was like a challenge. Like, what are you gonna do?
So now it was like that. Now that teachers are like, okay, we're exercising our power to get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it was stuff like that kind of derailed us little by little. And then our starting running back was my best friend. In our third game, he got injured. He took a helmet to the thigh. And, you know, we didn't have the best equipment back then. Like, the pants were real loose.
If
you didn't tape your pads where they supposed to be,
then
they moved,
down to your knees,
and your thigh pad ended up being on your side of your leg versus the front of the leg. And he took a helmet square in the middle of his quad.
Oh, trust me,
and
I know,
he bruised it, and he couldn't play on it. He was out for a couple of weeks, and they finally came up with a cast. They made a cast that went around his thigh.
Okay.
And he came back on the third week, but the 2 games that he was out, we lost. The game our quarterback was out, we lost. So we put ourselves behind, not really ourselves behind the 8 ball, but injuries derailed us, and again, bad decision making.
Yeah, you know, it happens. You know, we went 0-10 my senior year. So so I like anybody who says talking about problems, I totally get it.
Well, you know, we started off with a bang. We played schools, Rosemead High School. We played San Gabriel High School. We played Edgewood High School.
I'm not too familiar with these.
They're all San Gabriel Valley schools.
Are they known for football or?
Well, Rosemead High School was known for winning league. They have, you know, on their wall all the years they won league. If you go by the high school, you'll see numerous years of championship football. So they weren't a slouch. But we came in, and when we played them, I believe we took out their quarterback, their starting quarterback. He was out for the season. You're talking game 1 preseason. Okay. We take the quarterback out.
Yeah, exactly.
So we basically screwed their whole plan up. Then we come in and play San Gabriel High School. They had this big kid, and our coach called him the pig.
Oh, wow.
So, like, he was 5'8", 200 and change.
Okay.
And he wasn't muscle. He was just a big kid.
Yeah.
You know, like farm big, you know. But he had strength. People. But, I mean, he was, you know, a big kid, and our defensive coordinator kept saying, we're going to stick the pig. And that's what we did all game. We just beat him to the ground.
I don't think you can say that now, but
yeah, right, yeah. That's not a good thing. But we basically beat those guys into submission. It wasn't like a big score, but like you could see the physicality on the field. We out physicaled this team.
Were any of your teammates like going to any colleges? Any big colleges,
well, the quarterback was looked at, but it was all JC. We didn't have anybody that was, you know, upper echelon, you know, that was like scouted. Yeah. And it wasn't the same back then. You know, it wasn't like podcasts. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't
these like
have
highlights you can put everywhere.
Yeah. We didn't have all this media exposure that these kids do today. So if a coach didn't make a call to, you know, let's say a university, then they wouldn't know about a kid. You know, unless he was really good in the newspapers. Would write about this kid, and then somebody would see a newspaper like, oh wow, I got to go scout this guy.
Okay.
But that's the way it was back when I played. It wasn't like, you know, oh man, look at this YouTube sensation. This guy's running all over the place. This quarterback's dropping dimes. This DB is all over people. You didn't have that exposure.
So going into that is you have so you don't really have an opportunity for athletics after high school, I'm assuming.
There was opportunity.
Like,
you had to be like exceptional.
There's well for you in particular.
Oh, myself,
in terms of
personally?
just like in terms of just like JC, was that ever like an option?
Yeah,
for
no.
you?
It was.
Was it a thought?
It was an option, but it really wasn't a thought. Growing up, honestly, if I really want to be honest with myself, and I always have been. Okay. When I was 10 years old, I made the decision that I was going to join the Marine Corps. Okay. At 10, you know, it wasn't. Oh, I saw a commercial, and oh my God, I want to do that. My family's military. You know, my father's a veteran. My grandfather's a veteran. I have uncles that are veterans.
So the military runs in the
family.
It
runs on both sides of the family.
Okay.
So, you know, for me, it kind of was a natural choice.
Yeah.
You know, I know my dad being a veteran of his era, which is the Vietnam era, he really wasn't happy with my choice because, you know, what he went through. And he didn't wish that on me. And I understand that, you know. So those guys went through a lot.
So you're willing to uphold tradition? Is that what?
Yeah,
Is that what? So
for me.
is that why you went into the Marine Corps?
I went in to prove a lot, like to myself even. You know, I wanted to show that to me that my size didn't matter. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm sub 5'5". Okay. You know, playing football, I knew I was going to go to college. I mean, I had to be, you know, another star running back, like 5'9", you know, 200 pounds, eating up 300-400 yards a game.
So
you know, like a Saquon Barkley or something. It wasn't in my cards. It really like going to college and playing football.
It just wasn't in your.
I did it just because of the contact. Like it was my outlet for all my frustration.
Okay. So like not even college was in the option, or like
it could have been.
Was it even?
I mean, it was talked to me about when I was in school, but like, I struggled in high school. I wasn't like a dumb kid, but things were hard for me to understand. Like I would always ask questions of teachers when I was in, like, let's say geometry. Okay. I'm sitting in geometry and I'm trying to figure out an equation, and like the numbers just didn't make sense to me. I'm looking at it at the board. The teacher's explaining it, but it wasn't clicking to me. I had problems like understanding, comprehending, and I would even ask the teacher, "Hey, what how do I get this? What's the theory behind this? Okay. You know, what are the proofs? Geometry. You know, you have proofs, you have theories, all this.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into those
right.
aspects, but those aspects are also taught in the military too, aren't they?
Yes,
you know,
it's mathematics goes so far. It's not even funny.
Did you know that going into the Marine Corps?
No, I had no idea that math was going to be an equation when I got in the military.
So what was your first initial thought, like seeing what you've experienced with your dad and like all that? Like, what was your initial thought going into the Marine Corps? Like, this is just me upholding tradition, or is it like, was there another motivation behind like that actual?
It was a lot of me just proving myself.
Okay.
You know, because growing up, I had a lot of family members that like would tell me, "Oh, why are you doing that? You're not. You know, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?" Stuff like that I heard. Mm-hmm. You know, which, you know, these days would tear a kid apart. I mean, you've got kids, and pardon me, but you've got kids committing suicide for lesser things being told.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they can't take it. I mean. Yeah. Pardon me, but we're a softer generation. I'll say it.
I'm not trying to attack you or anything. No. I just
we're having a conversation.
Yeah,
I mean, this is cool. I don't mind.
I just want to know if like there was just
any
any other internal motivation that you had, like other than like proving yourself, or like was it like title? Was there like an external factor like title?
No.
So it was
all. It was all family driven.
It wasn't like money or anything like that.
No, you're not making money.
Nothing
if
tangible,
you think
right?
you're making money in the military, there's something wrong with you. Because you don't make money in the military, for real. I mean, unless you're an officer and you're on a fast track with promotions, you're not making a lot of money. Okay. You know, especially not back when I got in, you know, in the 80s. It wasn't money. But you know what? It was regular work. You had a regular check. You didn't have to buy you didn't have to buy what you wore. You were issued uniforms. Okay. You were issued boots. You were fed.
Okay, so
you were housed.
So let's go back. So
sure.
So you signed, right?
Yeah.
When did you sign? 17, 18?
I signed when I was 17.
Okay, so you knew you were going in as soon as that opportunity came up. You signed.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I've been talking to the recruiter for already a little over a year by then.
And so, what is the recruiter actually telling you about all this stuff?
I had my recruiter was pretty honest. You know, he wasn't there to like.
A disclaimer: This is like a firsthand account of what he actually went through to actually sign and go into the military. So it continues.
Yeah. My recruiter, he was pretty confident in himself. He was pretty knowledgeable about what he talked about. Okay. So he gave a lot of fact. Like, what do you want to do? You know, I went and took my ASVAB test. I scored, I think. Like 90, you know, 99 is your highest, but I got like a 90 on my test. So I had a lot of options. You know, my first option was when I was getting ready to graduate high school, I was getting into drafting and designing. So I asked him, like, I want to be a designer. Sorry for my dogs. Okay. No, I want to be a designer. You know, like that's what I do. You know, my dad was a drafter. Hold on.
We're recording. Okay.
So he was a designer for a big trailer company.
Okay.
Recreational trailers.
And drafting, designing
blueprints, interior design. He was part of the team that designed the interior of the trailer.
Okay. And did your dad learn this skill in the military?
No. My dad actually learned that at LA Trade Tech.
Nice.
He went
So
to that
trade
after school. Yeah, so he went to a trade school out of high school.
Which is a very good idea. Honestly,
it's a great
anybody
idea.
who like trades are what's in. I don't know why.
It's a backbone of America.
Yeah.
And it's welding.
And you're definitely making good money doing it.
No, for sure,
Great
for sure.
money.
If you know what you're doing, you're gonna make money.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll continue.
Yeah. So that was my theory. He's like, okay, so you did drafting. I go, so what do you have in the military for that? Mm-hmm. He's like, well, we have combat engineering. So I'm hearing engineering, engineering, buildings, structures. Well, combat engineering is a carpenter in the military. So you put up wooden frames for tents.
Oh, okay.
You dig holes.
Damn.
That isn't anything
to
do with what I was looking for.
That's like a sanitation technician, right?
It's like it's like saying I want to be.
He just prettied it up for you. Is that what he did?
It's like saying, hey, I want to be environmental engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're digging latrine holes.
Okay.
It's kind of that type of a gap.
And so you signed, right? So you end up doing the combat engineering, right?
No. I didn't do combat engineering. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Why would I go to combat engineering?
Oh, so did he explain to you exactly what it was then?
He kind of got to it when I started asking him questions.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so where's the drafting part? And he's like, well, there's no drafting. I said, well, then lead with that. Help a kid out.
No, they're not. They don't care about you guys.
They kind of don't, but I get it because I've had a lot of friends that were recruiters, and you're under a gun, you're under an excruciating amount of pressure.
Yeah.
You not only have a quota that you have to get in, which sucks because it's a business.
That's ridiculous.
It's a business. You have to get in X amount of recruits.
Because I've talked to people in the military, and a lot of them, I don't want to say a lot of them regret it, but a lot of them definitely have exterior issues when they do come back, or if they do serve.
It all depends on what you did, where you went, where you deployed,
and then
stuff like that.
Getting to that is so you sign, and then you go. You told me you were in Desert Storm, which is the first mission.
That was one of the first
missions going into Afghanistan.
Right. Yeah. That was kind of like the pre-Afghanistan. That was the pre-Iraq.
And how
per se.
And was that an option, or was it you're getting deployed?
No. We got called up. We're like, hey. I was already done with active duty.
Yeah.
I did like my active training and all that stuff. So now I'm ready to go. I'm in the reserves.
Okay.
Right. Which is, you're a part-time server. You go a week and a month, and you go a couple of weeks a year. Right. That's what a reserve status is. So I'm already done with, all of my training and all that stuff.
Okay.
And whatever I had to do.
How was
so
boot
now
camp?
I'm in the reserves.
I'm sorry to go back to it, but how was boot camp?
Boot camp, I'm not going to say it wasn't like extremely difficult. It was challenging for sure. There was days like when I first got there, like, not really why did I make this choice?
Okay.
But like, you know what? Like, man, I had other options, but you know what? This is where I'm at. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got guys screaming at you all day, especially in your first couple of days. It's chaos. It's like you have sleep deprivation. They keep you awake for more than 24 hours.
Exactly.
So you're tired. Like I took a train ride from downtown LA, Union Station.
Okay.
And I got off in San Diego. You get picked up by a bus. Everybody's all happy-go-lucky. Yeah, sure, come on, get on the bus. Get a seat. Don't worry about anything. I didn't take anything because I already know. When you get there, they're going to give you anything. So I literally went with the clothes on my back. I didn't have, like, shaving stuff. I didn't take, like, extra clothes. I didn't take anything. I literally went with a set of clothes on me. And that was it. My wallet, and that's it.
So, well, it almost ties into like our next subject after this too,
no worries,
right? Because it's like the other side of. Well, I don't want to say you're like an inmate, but like it sounds like you're like kind of the other side of like these officers who are just like, well, like you come in with the set of clothes you got on, and then like you're gonna get it back when you leave, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We put it in a box. Like I had like, they give you a box that's probably like something you would stuff all your kitchen stuff in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty good sized box, right? It's like maybe 18 inches wide, 18 inches high, and 2 feet deep, or whatever. It's somewhere in those dimensions. And all I had was a pair of shoes, socks, undershirt, a shirt, and a pair of underwear, because you can't even wear your underwear. They give you everything. Like
That's pretty cool though.
everything.
I mean, they're housing.
It kind of is, yeah. You know,
it's not like are you washing it every?
you're washing, yeah, because you only have at the time they give you 3 sets of utilities, which is your camis. We call them utilities. You get 3 sets of utilities, trousers, and we call it a blouse. Go figure.
Hey.
People don't get it. Like they were like, why isn't it a shirt? Well, because they call it a blouse. I'm calling it what they told me to call it.
Yeah.
It's a blouse.
No, it's
your hat's called a cover. You know, because it covers your head. It's a cover.
Right.
You get 3 sets of utilities,
Seems
3
like
covers.
Very general terms.
Yeah, very general terms. You get like 6 sets of undershirts, olive undershirts.
Okay.
You get 6 sets of white boxers.
This is it.
That's gonna last you for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So everything you get is for 3 months. You get 2 pair of boots.
Okay.
And then like 6 pair of socks, olive wool socks, which are itchy as hell. So it's not the best thing. You know,
I can imagine.
If you're not used to wool is not your friend.
And so, after boot camp, you're sent just straight to Desert Storm.
No. I went to training. I went to Camp Pendleton. I trained I ended up being a heavy vehicle operator.
Okay.
So
can you explain that?
Heavy vehicle operator. I drove a 5-ton truck. It's troop carrier, equipment carrier, all around. It's like a pickup truck, but beefed up. 6 axles. It's got 3 axles, 6 tires.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, back then we had 2 regular front tires and then 2 sets of dualies behind it.
So when you do actually go over to, so you're doing all the training and then you do actually, how long is it before you actually go into the war? Or like they're like, hey guys.
I joined in '86.
Yeah.
And I got deployed in '91.
Okay, so you have about
so it's 5 years. 5 years after the fact. So like I said, you know, I did some training. I went in. I got in. I was at Camp Pendleton for a while. Got out, ended up at a reserve unit here in Pico Rivera. It's an artillery unit.
Nice.
So we shot a lot of cannons, which was crazy fun.
Gary.
Crazy fun.
Gary told me you shot every artillery shell that there is.
Dude, I've shot like from a howitzer on down. We got to shoot cannons. We shot
so what's the biggest
grenade launchers.
So what's like the biggest caliber you actually shot, or like a grenade launcher? Or how?
Well, grenade launchers, 22 millimeter grenades.
Okay.
Most people see them when you watch a movie. You see a guy throw a grenade in a rifle underneath, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We call it a M203 grenade launcher.
Okay.
You put a round in it, you shoot it off, and it explodes, right?
Yeah.
It's called HE,
Yeah, I remember that from
high explosive.
I remember that from Call of Duty.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of that, right?
Yeah,
I can't say the Marine Corps got very smart,
Okay.
but somebody in the military got smart and put it on a belt. So it's a belt-fed weapon now.
A belt,
just like a machine gun.
It's this. Oh, a machine gun.
So we've got this machine gun that's shooting grenade rounds,
so crazy.
High impact or high explosive grenades.
Yeah, and these are just in fields, right? Like random fields, random masses of land that you just
so
shooting
like
to.
wherever we train, we're shooting at tanks, we're blowing up tanks, we're shooting at anything, right? We're trying to get accurate. We're trying to get into the understanding of how this weapon works, what the distance is, as far as how far we can lob it, and then also.
I don't know if the doggies want to introduce themselves.
Right.
1, go. Sorry about that, guys. We actually had to make a couple drinks, and John just made me a pineapple and passion fruit rum drink, and it's delicious. Let me tell you something. I could barely taste the alcohol, just a hint of it, but you always need that hint. And he poured himself some
proper number 12 Irish
12.
whiskey.
Shouts out proper number 12. Hopefully you guys sponsor me soon.
You got to stick with your roots. I'm Irish, so part Irish, I should say.
Oh, part Irish.
Right.
Irish and
a
Latino.
lot of different things, to be honest. I have Irish. It's kind of I would say fuzzy on what my grandfather was. I haven't gotten a really big background on my father's dad.
Yeah.
But I know my grandmother was Irish. So
any Latino in you?
I do. I do.
Most,
we do have a lot of Hispanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like my mom is Mexican, predominant Mexican, but she has Native American.
Okay.
So like how the Washington football team or the Commanders now.
Yeah.
They used to be called the Washington Redskins.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I get, Native Americans were upset, but I'll put it this way. My great-grandmother, when I met my great-grandmother, she was very dark-skinned. And her brothers and my grandmother's brothers were literally red-skinned. So
Okay.
I understand where the red skins came from because my uncles literally were brick red. That's
Okay.
the tone of their skin. You know, they weren't appalled by the title Redskin, but I get it. You know, it was an era thing when football first came around. You could say whatever you wanted to. You could name anything whatever you wanted to.
Just the issue. Yeah, I get it, but like you said,
Now
you
it's
just I think you made it.
sensitive.
It's soft. You explained it the best earlier. It's just softer generation, right?
It is a softer generation.
It's just people
Right.
who want to start.
It's all
problems 'cause
validation. It's about validation.
Well, they have no problems themselves, so they want to start problems. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
possibly, quite possibly, yes.
Well, that's just what I think. I mean, like
I get you.
I mean, like I feel like everything now is more about like how shitty of your life it could have like
Yeah.
the shitty parts of your life is what makes you a man now. That's what I've kind of like
crazy.
gathered from like everyone. Like the more jail time you do,
Right.
you know, the
more credit you
more,
get.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the street. I'm doing air quotes right now, but the
Yeah.
more street cred
Yeah.
you get,
And, it's
especially
a
rappers.
good
Oh my
thing,
God.
right? And it's
Yeah.
and like the most people you see or you talk to or you because like I watch a lot of 60 Days In and I know it's a show on A&E. You know, I'm actually talking to a former corrections officer. John actually used to do a lot of the jail stuff. But anyways, I used to watch
we'll
a lot
get
of
there.
60 Days In. And what we can talk about right now. We can get to the Marine stuff after.
You
I mean,
tell
we don't
me,
have
man.
to go in
We
order.
can bounce around. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
so I used to watch a lot of 60 Days In, and a lot of the prisoners there actually felt like they actually said the exact opposite of what a lot of these like rappers or like people who think this street cred goes out into the streets. They actually said you don't want to be in here because I mean, really the life there, right, is really just not so
It's
great.
subpar. It's subpar. You're basically
Subpar. Can you explain? Can you elaborate when you say subpar?
for sure.
Yeah.
Growing up, I mean, I get people share a room. You know, I did.
Exactly.
I shared a room with a brother and
Same.
a sister.
I have
So
too.
I had 3 in a room. So I get that. You know, I get cramped. But you're talking about sharing a space where you can pretty much almost touch the walls side to side with your arm spans open.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're arm
looking
to arm and
it's,
close.
It's like 6 foot wide
Yeah.
by 10 to 12 foot deep.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
there's
it's
not a whole
long.
bunch of room. Yeah,
They're
it's
long.
slightly longer
They're
than it is
longer.
wider.
Yeah.
You got 2 steel bunks. You have 2 shelving units on the opposite wall from the steel bunks.
Okay.
You have one on the wall, which would be like a credenza,
Okay.
let's say, you know, or a cabinet, lower cabinet, like tabletop-ish, you know, and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
a store area below it.
And
And
this
then-
is all from the prison you used to work
Yeah. I used
Okay.
to work in LA County.
at. Okay.
As a state correctional officer. So, and then you have a storage compartment above that,
Okay.
which was half the size of the compartment below. So it was just 1 shelf, not 2. At the very end, you have a very narrow 9-inch window, 9-inch by 2 feet tall, to get some sunlight. You had a small desk, which was probably 24 by 18 inches, and a steel seat right in front of it. Next to your cell door, you have a toilet and a sink combination. So you're crapping and whatever you need in the same cell where you sleep. So, not ideal situation. You know, why would you
Yeah.
want to be there?
Yeah,
to me,
exactly.
Like, I couldn't see myself. I could do it if I had to, but I don't have to. So why do it?
And on top of that is like you're told when to go to bed.
Oh, for sure.
When to wake
you got
up in the
bedtime,
morning,
you
right?
got wake up time. You're told when to eat.
So I'm sure a lot of these guys just went crazy there, right? They just
Some do,
went
but
insane.
you got some that's called institutionalized. They've been there so many times that it's normal life for them.
Okay.
They almost sabotage themselves when when they get released from prison. They can't function outside because
Okay.
they're not structured. They're not told what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they struggle at times, and this is coming from inmates' mouths, not mine. This isn't my assessment. This is what I've had an inmate tell me. Like I've had a hard time when I get out. I don't have anybody 24/7 like I normally do.
Sorry about that, guys. We got just some dogs barking, but they seem to be settled down now. They saw a couple cars go by.
Very protective.
Very protected dogs.
I got,
Very
again,
nice.
Dobermans, and that's how they're raised. They're protectors.
That's good. Good guard dogs.
They are, very much
they,
so.
They were screaming at me when I came in. That's for sure.
So
So back to you were
Right. These people are institutionalized,
Okay.
right? They get home, they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't have somebody telling them what to do. They don't have somebody telling them what time to eat. They don't have somebody telling them what time to go to bed. They don't have somebody telling them it's time to exercise. So there's guys that struggle when they get out, and all their friends are inside, so they kind of falter. They commit a crime to kind of go back to their comfort zone. Their comfort zone is back within the institutional walls where they have all their buddies, where they have their affiliates, where they have their comfort, where people have their back. They don't feel comfortable outside the walls because they don't know how to function.
Okay.
They feel safety within the walls, and they feel like that's home.
So they feel safety, considering that. Oh, just what I've seen, it just seems like you always had to turn a blind eye. Look behind your back every time. Something was going on there. So like, what kind of like? I'm just kind of like fuckery was just going on there that like. But like that these people were just so accustomed to, because it just seems like you're out in real life, right? And life, and it might not must be spectacular where you're going, but at the same time, it's freedom. It's something you don't have to look behind your back with someone stealing from you all the time.
Something some people would cherish.
Yeah, exactly. So what made that like a thing for them? Like, so where like they didn't mind, like it was almost home, but like not looking behind your back, or looking behind your back was still like a normal like a normalized feeling.
When they got back, you're saying, or
they're out, right? And
right.
they have no structure, right? They have nothing keeping them. But like I also heard in prison a lot that there's like a lot of paranoia that comes with being in prison.
Can be, yeah.
Because like you're,
let's say it's your first time.
Yeah, exactly.
You're uncomfortable. You're in a new environment.
Yeah.
It's noisy, chaotic. You're not used to being screamed at, what to do, when to do it.
Okay.
You're not used to a PA system coming on at like 6 a.m. saying, get up, time for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
Opening doors. Like, you can't leave your cell until somebody opens your door. You have no control over that. So you don't have control of your life once you're in there. So I can see just the confusion, the scaredness in somebody's eyes.
I'm sure you have seen it though.
Oh,
right?
for sure, I have.
And what exactly?
And that's both sides alike. That's not just inmates.
And if you could just give me like some like examples or stories of people who just like, I don't know, crumbled. And then I want some examples of people who just like you thought were like, oh, you thought they were just not going to make it, and then they just totally excelled in being in the jail system.
Well, I don't know about excelling, but they adapted. I think that's the best phrase, is adapted. You got people that, like, you may bet on, like, not necessarily actual money, but like, man, I don't think this guy's going to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And, as time goes on, maybe someone that's got 3 years, it's feast or famine in the prison system. Like, you either do well or you don't do well, and when I say do well is you gang up, you affiliate with somebody that that has something to do with your race. Let's go with the Mexicans, right? Let's say you come in and you're a kid that came out of Mexico and you're in California. You get busted for robbing a store because you need the money. It's life. It happens. You need the money. You get caught stealing, robbing. So now it's a strong arm. You're in prison. It's
a hypothetical situation.
Right. Too. All hypothetical. And you're doing 3 years. Right. You get there, and you have no friends. You don't know what you're doing. You may not even speak English. You got to adapt. Everything's adaptation to you.
Yeah.
You got to adapt to a new language. You got to adapt to a new environment, and you got to adapt to the predators. And yes, there are predators in prison. A lot of predators in prison. There's guys that, and predators can mean many different things, from sexual predators to gamers. And when I mean gamers, is like something that's going to con you, out of everything you got, because they're going to say, I'm your friend, I'm going to take care of you, but you need to help me. I need money for my books. I need supplies from the canteen. Canteen is like the store inside the prison.
And have you seen someone just get completely, because that's extortion, right?
Yes.
Have you seen someone?
I've seen a guy like empty his account, whatever was put on his
Yeah.
prison books, emptied out within a matter of weeks of getting there, because it was extortion for protection. Like,
and do they really protect you at the end of the day?
they kind of do.
Yeah.
You know,
kinda.
I mean, they'll protect them to the best of their ability, but when you're up against, you know,
So like, let's say a race war is about to happen, and they're like, "Hey, like this is the cause of it. Is this guy right here?" They're not going to be like, oh, "Okay, we don't know him." Like
well,
that,
it depends on what the
or-
guy, what the cause is. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of lines drawn between race.
Is that probably one of the biggest things that separates people in the prison system?
It can. There's a lot of things. I like it. It's your beliefs. It's what you stand for. Whether you have morals or not. You know.
So there's a lot of different cliques that go on.
There's a lot of different cliques. I mean, you know, Mexican side, you got the M, which is the Mexican mafia. You've got the Norteños, the Sureños, which is like Mexican gangs. You've got, you know, 18th Street, which was part of the M, which is originally the M.
Yeah.
But, you know, they still hold their own in there, but they're expected to follow the M when they're in prison because that's who's predominant.
And like the structure within La M, is it like everyone who's Latino is just considered like, hey, you're going straight here, or is it just strictly Mexican?
I mean, if you look at it nowadays, you got so many mixed crossbreeds of humans. You got guys that are black Mexican, Asian black.
Okay.
It all depends on where you grew up and who you're comfortable around. So let's say I'm black Asian, right?
Okay.
You either run with the blacks or the other. There's sorry that's what it's called.
No, so
the classification is other.
So this is the classification in terms of the prison system,
right?
How prisoners,
yes,
and how prisoners classify themselves,
right? Well, no, this is the way the prison classifies.
Oh, okay, so the prison classifies.
There's multiple classifications. You're either traditional, what they call, you're either black, you're white, you're Mexican, or you're other.
Okay.
Other is Asian, Jewish,
just because it's
anything other than those first three categories.
It's just a small percentage of the prison.
Right.
Okay.
Because like at the time, I don't know what the numbers are now. I haven't been in the prison system since 2006 or 8. No, 2008.
Okay.
Okay, so I've been working in the prison system since 2008. But at the time, the numbers were black represented 65% of all inmates in the state of California.
So, wow, it's
astonishing.
Yeah,
astonishing.
So a lot of those different things that actually factor into classifying these prisoners, but so do prisoners usually gravitate towards classifying themselves as that?
They can,
because
they can. We've had young white kids who grew up in Compton associate and assimilate with black.
So they were
because that's who they hung out with in the streets.
Were they hanging with the blacks then?
Yeah, they ran with the blacks. They hung out with the blacks. Okay. That's who they affiliate and associate with. That's who they're comfortable with. So you may have a crossover, like a white kid housed with a black inmate, which is unheard of. You know, because it just doesn't work that way. But if that's who he ran with...
Did that ever cause any problems?
It can, because then you're going to have the whites, you know, which go by Wood... Exactly. In the prison system, you're going to have the Wood pushing up on this white kid.
Okay.
Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Why are you running with these guys? You're white. You should be with us. And now you're creating a conflict. And this may flare up down the road as a race issue.
Have you seen anything to where, like, that happened and, like, the young man has been, like...
Oh, dude. He's pulled both ways. Because now he's getting pressure from both sides. Yeah. Because now you got the black race... who he's claiming is expecting him to prove himself in order to hang black.
Okay.
He's got to go out and do something now for them to show them that that's who he's going to run with now.
He can't just be white and a part of that race.
It doesn't work. And now then you're going to have the whites, like, if you're not going to follow us, we're going to jam you up every time we see you. And when I mean jam you up, you're going to have 2-3 dudes come up and bump you up. Like, you know... shoulder check you.
Fight.
They're gonna stick you. They're gonna shiv you. They're gonna shank you. You know, they're gonna do whatever it is to shake you and say bring you back to motherland. Like, you're Wood, you're gonna be a Wood, and they're offended by the fact that this young white kid runs with blacks.
Okay.
Because it doesn't work that way.
No,
in the walls.
of course not. And have you seen any like examples of where a young white male has been like extorted or just got the shit beaten out of him because he didn't follow that path,
that particular
pattern? And he
ethic.
didn't do anything for the blacks to where like it actually put him in the group. So he was, I guess, kind of a loner in that sense.
No. That was very rare. That because you're gonna side with somebody.
Do most guys who go in there just kind of like have that feeling of I got to do what I got to do?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Live.
It's survival.
Yeah.
You get in there. It's whatever it is to survive. I know it sounds like a really harsh system, but it's not something that the officers are pushing on these guys.
Yeah.
It's what they're pushing on each other.
Okay.
It's self-driven. It's not like we're saying, hey, you're white, you got to stay with the whites. I mean, if you're black affiliated, we're gonna house you with that way.
But
we're not gonna.
Do you think possibly that these classifications have like, is just more of inmates trying to appease the system?
No, I think it's just who they're comfortable with.
Okay.
It's like, you know what? I grew up with black people. I'm gonna hang out with black people. Okay. That's just my preference, and that's cool. Officers didn't have an issue with it. The inmates had the issue with it.
Okay.
We're just following what we're told to do. Like, hey, this guy affiliates with XYZ.
Okay.
You house him XYZ. So he can only sell with black people. Because if you put him with whites after he's already affiliated with blacks, you're asking for problems. He's gonna either get rolled up, beat the shit out of him in his cell by another white guy when you put him in there because how dare you go against our race?
Okay.
Or he's gonna get punked. He's gonna be taking all his money.
Have you ever seen someone just be left alone? Or
it's very rare, but yeah, there's guys that just don't want to play that game. They're like, hey, I'm not affiliate, and they may get beat a little bit up initially, but it's like a bully. Like when you deal with a bully when you're in school, right? You got a guy that's enforcing his will on you. If you don't give up, like if you keep fighting, eventually they do lose interest. And in prison, exactly. The guy's like, wow, fuck, it's not changed his mind. Fuck, we got other concerns than this one kid or this one man. Because there's bigger issues in the prison system than I need this one guy.
Because it seems like whenever I listen to somebody or compared to when I actually watch something, it's very different. So
again, you got to remember they can't show
everything,
actuality.
Right? Yeah,
they can't show real life on screen.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to show an occasional flare up. They're going to show shit going sideways sometimes. Okay. But they can't really show you what goes on behind the scenes because it's almost self-incriminating.
Getting to that point, has there anything you've seen that has like is there anything that you can like tell us where like you've seen and you've been like, wow, I like the savagery that goes on here is God. Just
the first riot I ever saw.
Okay.
I was on the job probably 6 weeks where I was working at. And everything seemed cool. Like, I'm still semi-new to this environment. I'm still picking up pointers. I'm still picking up my trade, my craft, right? I got to understand signs. I got to see or I got to feel the environment that's going on around me. I'm still working on that, so I don't have all this down.
Exactly.
And it's hard. There's a lot of things to kind of grasp. First off, you got to understand all the laws and all the regulations you have to follow. Mm-hmm. Secondly, after you grasp that, and to be honest, it's hard to grasp everything. You got what we will call a nerd, a guy that just book study. Those guys will grasp it because all they do is read.
Exactly.
So they understand the technicality of the job.
Exactly.
But there's more than just the technicality. There's the observation. There's the feeling. There's the gut reaction. Like, fuck, something's going to crack off right now.
Okay.
And I try to learn that because, like, my first riot, 6 weeks in, not even months, 6 weeks in.
6 weeks in.
And I'm there, and then I'm on a yard, right? A yard, to explain, is in a prison, you have 4 yards.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have A yard, B yard, C yard, and D yard.
Is this all California prisons, or is
pretty
it
much?
Just
it's a format. It's like a blueprint.
Okay.
Right. So each yard has 5 housing units.
Okay.
So you have A yard, building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. B yard, building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on and so forth.
How many cells are in each of these
You
units?
have 100 cells in each housing unit. And initially, when these institutions were designed, it was supposed to be single cell.
Okay.
Although they put double bunks. It was initially designed to hold single cell inmates.
Okay.
Well, California, we imprison a lot of people.
Exactly.
Righteous or not, there's a lot of prisoners. So instead of a yard with 5 buildings having 500 inmates, you now bump up a yard of 5 buildings with 1,000 inmates. You're doubled up because, well, shit, we got a housing unit with 2 beds.
And
bunk beds.
So how many? So we're having this many inmates compared to how many guards are there actually on looking out?
Okay, so let's say a yard. We're on a yard, 5 buildings. Let's say it's max capacity.
Exactly.
You're talking 200 inmates a yard, or excuse me, a building.
Okay.
5 buildings. That's 1,000 inmates
For each yard.
So but they don't all go at the same time.
Oh, of course not.
Right. So you're like only half the inmates per building would go out. So instead of 200 per building, you got 100 coming out.
Okay.
So even if all 100 came out, 5 buildings, you're talking about 500 inmates.
Okay.
Okay. So in retrospect, you're looking at you probably got a dozen to 18 officers on the ground.
So you're not
boots on the ground.
1 to 10.
No, we're outnumbered more than 1 to 10. If you think about it, you got 500 inmates to 20 ground officers.
So that's sorry, I can't do the math right now.
That's
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Let's go with a lot. Okay, like I said, I wasn't
little.
a math major.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So let's say 20 ground officers. That's sergeant, lieutenant.
Of course, yeah.
Yard officers, housing unit officers, which are floor officers. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you got 5 housing unit officers who control the booth officers.
And so explain the riot that actually went on.
Okay, so we'll go back to the riot. So we got approximately, not everybody was out. So you got 5 housing units.
Okay.
There's approximately 375 minimum. 375 minimum inmates on the yard.
Right now. With you and how many officers?
With, let's say, me and another 17 officers on the ground.
Okay.
On the ground.
Yeah.
So that's astonishing numbers, first and foremost.
And so how did the riot actually pop off? Were you sitting there just minding your own business, making sure that everything was
I believe
good?
That day I was working escort officer, which means my job is, like, I get a list of names of inmates. And I need to escort them to either administration. I need to escort them to medical.
Okay.
Counseling.
So,
mental health, whatever it was.
Okay.
I have a list of names. So I'm walking. I go to a unit, go to a cell. I let the control booth officer know, hey, I need inmate. Let's go with Baker.
Okay.
Inmate Baker out of cell, 133.
So no, I want your exact actions of that day. So you're walking someone, Baker, let's say, to so-and-so.
Right.
And what do you see that actually starts the riot?
I don't see what started the riot because my primary responsibility is the safety of the inmate I'm walking and my own safety.
Okay.
Right. So I'm walking this inmate across a full yard. I have to make sure, first off, nobody's going to attack them because that's my job.
Yeah.
Okay. As a corrections officer, our job is to protect the security and safety of the public, which is everybody surrounding the institution.
Okay.
The officers, everybody I work with, my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. Administrative staff, which is what we call free staff. A guy that works landscaping, a guy that works in the culinary, the cook.
And this is all within your safety.
Yeah. That's what I have. That's our protection zone, and inmates alike. We are supposed to protect inmates. Okay. That's in our job description.
So you're protecting this inmate, and as you are,
as I clear the yard fences, we have perimeter fences for yard.
Are you shocked, or someone tell you, or
no? As I clear the yard fence, we have a yard fence, and then we I'm sorry, we have the fence that holds in the recreation area.
Exactly.
Which is where the inmates go out, they expand, they exercise, they do whatever. There's basketball hoops. You check out equipment. It's like PE.
Yeah, exactly.
But a well-controlled PE. You got guns and stuff, right?
Okay.
From towers, not us. On the ground, we have no weapons other than a baton and pepper spray. That's our weapon. So I get the guy through the rec fence, right? And then now I got to go through the yard fence. When you go through a yard fence, that leads you to another booth, another control area. Okay. So I get through the yard fence, and I'm escorting him to, I believe it was a mental health checkup.
Uh-huh. And you, as you turned or something, did you see
literally as I closed the gate behind me?
Yeah.
Right. I allow the inmate to go in front of me. He's cuffed. He's got his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
At that point, once I get him through the yard, I cuff him.
Okay.
Okay. Because once we breach the yard fence, the inmates have to be restrained.
Okay.
So I have him in restraints. I put him in restraints. We walk through the yard gate.
Okay.
And literally, as soon as the yard gate closes, chaos ensues.
Just
like literally
stabbing each
we
other.
We have an alarm that goes off. Somebody presses the alarm,
and it's just like brrrr,
roughly, yeah.
And
it's like. And
when you hear that, what's your initial reaction to that?
Like, you got to figure out what's going on because my priority is the guy I'm with.
Okay.
Like, he's my responsibility. If something happens to him, it's my ass.
So what? No, I'm asking about yourself.
Right.
Is heart sink? Stomach drop? Are you shriveled up?
No, I mean, your asshole puckers a little bit.
Of
for
course,
sure.
Yeah,
I mean, because you don't know what's going on. Like, fuck, what the hell? You turn back, and the best way I can describe it is you look across the yard, right, which is the whole recreational area, and it looks like a violent storm at sea.
It's just like
it's chaos.
Running at each other.
Well, it's running at each other, but you just see waves of people. Like, you got heads bobbing up and down. It's like if there's a movie called The Perfect Storm, right? It's like thunderstorm. There's heavy rains, waves crashing.
People
it's just
yelling.
chaotic.
People yelling.
Oh, it's just muttered like rah, rah, rah,
and was it like a distinct memory, or was it just a
yeah
haze?
No, it's a distinct memory because like, you know, I've been in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had experience being deployed, and like
anything
like if you're going somewhere, you expect either you're going to be attacked or you expect you're going to go on attack mode. Okay, now you're dealing with, if you don't know how to read your situation like veteran officers do.
Okay.
Which I wasn't at the time, I'll be honest. I wasn't a veteran officer, you know. I didn't know how to read what was going on at the time. I didn't see grouping. I didn't see whites hanging out together in mass numbers because technically I was worried about this guy. Right?
So
you kind of miss that sometimes.
I've seen a couple like riots on YouTube.
Yeah.
Where people, like, you could just see the scrambling, like people
after the
each
fact,
other.
right?
No,
right.
Still like in the middle, they're scrambling. They're trying to fight each other.
Yeah.
Basically. Damn, I just lost my train of thought. Fuck.
No one about it.
I just lost what I was gonna say.
Well, let me jump back in, and then as you remember, we'll pause me, and then we'll jump on you.
Okay.
So, like, I see this just chaotic sea, just like up and down waves. I mean, think of like the ocean very angry.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I just see things going crazy.
Wild
and
dust
then you
storms.
Hear, all you hear is over the speaker, yard down, yard down. Technically, inmates are supposed to hit the ground. When you hear yard down, the alarm's going, the inmate's responsibility is to hit the ground. No matter what. Well, nobody's listening.
Yeah.
They're going at it. This is a hot and heavy.
Yeah, people are just stabbing each other.
Oh, they're going to town, man. They're beating the crap out of each other. I will give props to Mexicans and whites in this case. Because let me elaborate.
Yeah.
When Mexicans know they're going to get in a riot, or it's going to be Mexicans and whites, Mexican blacks. That morning, we now that I know, okay, after I've been there for a little while, I picked up the signs. I see what's going on, but I didn't see it then. But okay, so this is what happens. When I did get seasoned, I started seeing when inmates come out in the morning, Mexicans have their head shaved, all of them.
Oh.
They have no facial hair. They all are wearing state issue. State issue is brown leather boots, state jeans, a state shirt, and that's it.
They're lacing up. They're all getting
They're
ready.
these guys. Okay,
Ready for war.
not necessarily ready for war, but see, there's ulterior motives for why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's they're going to battle. They know it, but their intent is they're all going to look the same. You're unrecognizable in a sea of inmates when you're all head shaved, when you all have no facial hair. You're all dressed the same. Your buttons, you got a button-up shirt, long sleeve. Your buttons are all the way to the collar. Your top button is buttoned up. You know, you have the same pants, you have the same shoes, and you all look the same. So they're not dumb. They know how to like game the system. So when let's say I grabbed inmate Juarez, he was involved with this chaos. I grab him. He's got a shaved head, no facial hair,
Okay.
same dress as the guy next to him.
So you can say that wasn't me.
His defense is, how do you know it was me? We all look alike. How do you know you got the right guy?
And I'm sure
that could have been the guy next to me.
And the camera system was.
We have no
great.
cameras.
Oh.
We have no cameras.
You have no cameras nowhere.
Not
in
on
that
the yard.
prison. Oh, okay.
It wasn't that wasn't the way it was.
Okay.
So it was your word against his. Now I got me against you. You know, yes, I'm a sworn peace officer, but to a jury,
Yeah.
how do I know I got the right guy?
That's a very smart.
They are
Yeah.
very
And
intelligent
there's a
because they got
lot
all
of-
day to figure this out.
And there's a lot of them out there,
Yes,
right? Who
there
are
is.
just
And whites are very similar. You know, they try to mask themselves.
okay.
But like as I got seasoned, I started seeing, oh man, fuck, Mexicans are grouping over there. Shit, blacks are hovering over there. This is about to crack off. You know, you can see it coming now.
And what was the reason for that first riot?
Couldn't even tell you. It was honestly, I thought that first one, if I'm not mistaken, was Mexicans against blacks, and that could have been drug money.
Oh, okay.
That could have been a numerous amount of things.
As a guard, you're not really given a reason, right? They're just like,
Well, we can if we're inquisitive enough.
Oh, okay.
Like, again, as you get seasoned, you learn how to ask questions to guys. And inmates, at times, will tell on themselves. You know, whether they know it or not. Like, you could just be, you know, asking them questions. Sometimes they'll elaborate, and, like, later on, they're like, oh, fuck, I should have said that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, there's situations we can go as far as, you know, excuse me. Again, this is 90s and later.
Okay.
So 90s till like now. Maybe it's different now. But when you go in the prison system, inmates have their own morals. They have their own ethics code inside the prison.
Exactly.
So a Mexican inmate and a white inmate take offense to crimes against women.
Okay.
Right? They don't like that.
Any type of innocence, right? Really?
Well,
Like children
you know,
too. Right?
older women. Like
Yeah.
it could be a 20-year-old girl, an adult.
Okay, so women.
Let's
in
say you
general.
beat her.
Okay.
They don't like that. Like you're picking on a weaker sex.
Exactly.
Okay, so something like that. Like let's say you beat your wife, or let's say you sexually abused your wife. You raped a woman.
Mm-hmm.
You sexually abused a child, and it doesn't matter what race of the child, gender.
Mm-hmm.
It could be boy or male.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, boy
Under
or
a
female.
certain age or something like
Any
that.
age.
Right?
Doesn't
Any
matter. Teenager. Hell.
Okay.
Mexicans and whites have hard lines on that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
when you're Mexican, let's say I got to prison today. When I get there, I'm predominantly Latino.
Exactly.
So when I get there, Mexicans are going to jam me up. Whoever holds the keys to the yard, and what I mean by saying whoever holds the keys is the guy that runs that yard, the Mexican. Where he comes from, he has keys to the yard. He calls the shots. He says what happens. Nothing happens without his say.
Okay.
Right? So he has the keys to the yard. So if I get to the yard, I get jammed up. Like my first day, I'm in prison. Right? I get to the yard. They want to see my paperwork. When they say paperwork, they want to know what I'm convicted for. They want to see my rap sheet. You know, you walk around with it. That's what you're convicted for. Kind of, it's who you are in prison.
Yeah.
So they're looking for two specific things. Okay, Mexicans, whites alike. They're jamming you up because they want to see if you're committing crimes against women or sex crimes against kids, pedophiles, rapists. Yeah. This is what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right? Again, you know, These people broke the law. They're incarcerated for whatever, but they still have ethics inside those walls.
There's still
They really do. It's amazing, and you know what? I admire it.
some type of moral code.
Yeah, for sure, because they value a woman. They know that's the key to society. You can't procreate without a woman.
Okay, so I heard you say Mexican whites. So what exactly? I mean, we're the others and the blacks are really just not.
Well, others they really don't have the numbers to enforce stuff.
Okay, so
Right?
they're going.
So
whoever
others
comes
kind of
in-
like they kind of fall by the wayside, and it's not because nobody cares. They're at the time. Again, we're talking about 90s, 2000, early 2000s when I was in.
Yeah.
They're insignificant numbers. Other.
Okay.
You're talking again. Other Asian.
They're not going to be out here starting riots. They're not going to be out here stabbing
there's
people.
not huge gangs in the prison.
exactly.
Other than like a watching,
Okay.
somebody that's really known, like big gangs. But again, there's still not enough numbers in there for them to be, unfortunately, relevant at the time.
I heard
So
the same
there's
thing for
three
whites.
races.
I heard the same thing for whites though. Whites
No.
aren't a
Oh
very
my God.
significant
the
number,
Woods, dude, they stick together thick and thick.
but they're very close knit and they're very
For
strategic.
sure. They
right?
have to. They have to be because they're outnumbered by both Mexican and black.
Okay.
So they have to be tight. They have to work together, regardless. Like they're outnumbered. They're
Yeah.
the third biggest race in the prison.
Exactly. And who's the biggest at
Black.
this point? Black is the biggest.
Black is the biggest. Like I said, like you said, you may edit it out, but
No, I'm not editing that out.
I'll tell you what.
This is self-experience, right?
It's again at the
Yeah.
time in the numbers you can check. It's fact check. 65% of the prison system in California were black.
And that's most of the prisoners you dealt with too.
Oh yeah, I worked in Folsom for a short period of time.
Folsom is
Up north.
Up north.
Folsom State Prison.
okay.
Johnny Cash made it famous.
Johnny Cash. Shout out Johnny Cash.
Big shout out to Big Johnny. Held a concert in Folsom State Prison to kind of like ease tensions at the time, which made him famous.
Okay.
That was like one of his marquee performances.
Okay.
Live album, as a matter of fact. I worked at another institution called Mule Creek, which is still slightly up north. It's below Sacramento, and when I say below, it's between Sacramento and LA.
Okay.
Not far from Sac, but it's up there. At the time when I was there, Suge Knight was the big name at Mule Creek.
Wow.
And those that if they hear this, if you know who Suge Knight is, he's linked to many offenses from hearsay of Tupac's death, having a hand in Biggie Smalls being shot.
Being up easy.
And roughing up Easy. He was a strong arm of rap. He wanted his piece of the pie, whether you wanted to give it to him or not, and he was going to take it.
Yeah.
Well, he was incarcerated at the time. I forgot whatever he did. So I did some time in Mill Creek, very short time, but he was there.
Did you have any